What's going on?
I don't know. I'd like to start the game a lot faster. I don't know. I mean, they did give them credit. They did a few nice things coming off the bye as far as, some things there that not necessarily maybe they had shown, but, there's tendency-wise and those type of things and how they were orchestrating things. And Josh McDaniels does a really good job calling offense. There was a few things that we did here or there, but I think our guys, A, were able to win early downs in a lot better manner, and B, and then we were able to get off the field on third down. We had Tre'Davious had the takeaway, and there's a lot of things that occurred in that first half, and there's not one singular thing or person that was the cause of it. We just got to start faster, and we got to find that, and we got to latch on to it. There's a lot of inconsistency in the first half right now, and we can't have that.
When there isn't one singular thing to fix, is that harder or easier?
Yeah, it's just trying to find the right rhythm, make sure the guys are getting in the right rhythm, letting them play fast, and that's certainly my job to make sure they're doing that. So that's really what it comes down to. And, in the end, guys, we got to do our jobs. We got to do our jobs, and we got to do them at a high level, including me. So.
You mentioned the takeaway there by Tre'Davious. It's been a long time coming for him. Do you have a chance? You've known him a long time. Do you have a chance to kind of catch up with him either after the game or today?
It was interesting. It took us a long time to get down from the press box, a longer time. So Sean had called everybody up, and usually I go around, but I did catch up with him a little bit. But I know, it was a long time coming, right? Like, he's back in the Bills uniform and got the takeaway, and, it's cool to see.
What's it meant, just in general, to have him back? Sean's been asked about him quite a bit, and as I said, you've known him a long time. He seems to, his leadership qualities, what do you think it's meant to the defense?
Yeah, Tre'Davious leads in his own ways. He doesn't speak a lot. There's some about us in our corners. They don't speak a lot. It's just been really good to have him back. He's done a nice job. And I think the biggest thing is he feels like this is the uniform he should be wearing, and that's cool that it was able to work out that way for us and for him. And he's done a nice job, There's been a lot of, that position had been fluid when you look back at the beginning of the year up to where we are now. And right now he's kind of been a steady hand there, So certainly things that he can do better, but he's doing a nice job.
He's quiet in meetings?
Yes. He speaks up, but, he doesn't like talking to the media or anything like that. He doesn't like speaking publicly. So.
He's come around on us.
Oh, has he?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
never
he
mind.
has.
I lied. Never mind. So, no, that's great to see, and obviously that shows you where he's at, as far as being here and those type of things.
What did you
Even
think
going
of,
back to,
Go ahead.
there you go.
What did you think of Matt Milano's game yesterday?
It was good to see him make some of those splash plays. We're gonna need everybody down this stretch. And like I talked about earlier, we've got to make sure, and I've got to do a good job by setting the defense in a position to where everybody's kind of getting in that rhythm, and we need to do that this week. We need to be ripping and running and ready to roll. We're going to go to a team that, I don't care what the stats say, they've got some talent over there, and there's a lot of things we got to clean up from this game, but like for a guy like Matt to make some of those plays in critical moments, Tre'Davious, those are the things we need. That's what you guys all have been doing this a long time. That's what it is when it comes down the stretch. We're in the most important piece of football. It all matters, but right now is really is what the NFL is all about.
Vanessa last night was saying that he's seen Matt Milano improve every single week this season.
Yep.
What have you seen of just that trajectory?
Yeah, I think it's his availability, right? It's that availability, and he's been able to be on the field, and I think as we continue to move forward, We're just going to see a little bit more in rhythm type player that can find that flow that I talk about, and can play fast and play physical and play free.
You guys gave up a 52-yard touchdown run yesterday and a 65-yard
Yep.
explosives. You guys are 4-0 though when you've given up 30 or more points as a team.
Yeah.
Is this defense right now, with all of that digesting, confident? A confident defense?
Yeah, it's interesting. Like those play, never giving up 30 points is acceptable. I mean, like it's disgusting to us, to be honest with you. And you try to make sure that you don't lose sight of. You got to stay with what we got to do moving forward, right? We give up 24 in the first half, inexcusable. Come out the second half, and quite honestly, we had that, was it the 52 or 65? I can't remember. In the second half, we had it for loss. Our backside pursuit, our angles on the backside have got to be a lot better. It's inexcusable. But I think that, you see that no one panicked, no one did anything, or, no one's freaking out in the locker room. It was like, hey, this is what we need to do. Let's go out and win this game. And, I would call that confidence. I mean, no matter what hole, that's the one thing with this defense, no matter what hole we put ourselves in, not taking away credit from any offenses in this league, but whatever hole we put ourselves in, we're able to pull ourselves out. But we need to make sure that we're not putting ourselves in that hole. That's what we need to do. It starts with me, and we got to do our jobs at a high level. So I don't know if I answered your question. But.
In addition to the confidence, there's also belief that your defense has to have in each other, that we can get out of any situation being down 21-0 to start the game, or a fourth quarter comeback where the Bills were down 10 points. What can you say about the belief that the group has in each other?
Yeah, I mean, I think it speaks for itself. We don't flinch. Which through the course of the NFL season, you need to have those situations, because you don't want the first time for it to come up in one of the most critical moments of the season. It all matters, but I think everybody knows what I'm talking about. And we've done that a little too much, had to dig ourselves out. But that's going to happen over the course of an NFL season. I've said it the whole year to our guys, like, they're a resilient group, but let's be resilient from the jump.
Sean mentioned just the importance of keeping Joey Bosa fresh down the stretch. What is the challenge of doing, just with the bodies that you lost on
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
the impact that he does have, especially in a pass rush?
Yeah, it is certainly a challenge, because with a defensive lineman, it's as easy to say, hey, just go in there on third down and pass situations. But look at Matt Milano, for instance. There's a rhythm to the game, and you got to get yourself, kind of into the game. And it's not only physically, but your mind and all those type of things. And so finding that sweet spot, is what we're trying to do every time we take the field on a Sunday or a Monday or a Thursday. And it's the same yesterday with the defensive tackles. We lose one, and now we're trying to plug and play and figure out what the best deal is there. So, again, it's a challenge, but we got to make sure that Joey's ready to roll, and is feeling as fresh as possible as late as we get into the season.
How did you see him manage? I mean, the wrist was something that obviously bothered
Yeah.
him. How would you see him manage that? And then, I'm sure that, the guys have been through it before,
Right.
but I can imagine the frustration, but he had to play through it.
That's right, and he managed it like a pro. He tried a lot of different things just to make sure that he was able to function a lot of different ways to prevent any further injury or whatever that may be, but still be able to play at a high level. And so he found something, and see if it keeps going that way.
Part of what's strange about this season defensively for you guys, because it's been kind of the identity for so long, how good you guys have been on defense, and
Right.
then it's a standard.
Right.
Is that part of it?
As far as what?
As far of just like trying to kind of cycle through and find answers and being this far into the season and still kind of in that process, like you sitting up there saying this is disgusting and being that animated about it.
Right.
Is that part of it?
Part of, I'm sorry.
Is that part of the frustration, if there is any?
Yeah. Oh, okay. I see what
Yeah.
you're saying. Yeah. Like, yeah. I mean, it is like we have a standard here, and there's been times where we've met the standard, and there's times that we haven't, and you know that's frustrating for all our guys. It's frustrating for us as coaches, you know, and we're all in this together, and you know, if there's too many holes in the dam, we're going to run out of things to plug it with. And we have to understand that, and there's got to be an urgency with that. And it can't be inconsistent, and our approach week in and week out has got to be that.
What does that mean, sorry? About the holes in the dam?
Yeah, I mean, if, like, someone had asked, you know, if I think the question was, you know, the adjustments are talking about the first half, and I had said that it wasn't one thing, but we've got to make sure just that standard. If you've got 5 guys that aren't holding up to that standard, you know what I'm saying? There's 5 holes in the dam. If you've got one, it's a lot easier to plug one hole, right? So, you know, we've got to play our best football coming down the stretch, and that's certainly expectation, and all our guys know that. You know, the only stat that matters is you win. Right, but there's a way we want to play defense here, and there's a product we want to put on the field, and we got to make sure of that, and everybody's got to pull their weight, starting with me, to make sure that happens, if that makes sense. But yes, hopefully I answers your question.
Bobby, it's been a few weeks since Shaq Lawson has been back. What's it been like to have him back, and how is he?
I'm sure you guys hear it every day. It's the exact same. It's the exact same every day. He brings a great amount of energy. He's very loud. That has not changed. You know, and he's working himself back into where if we got to call upon him that he's ready to rock and roll. So, Shaq, you guys know Shaq. People that don't know Shaq, he might come across the wrong way, but he's the best. Like his energy and the way he goes about things. When he's in the game, he's a dog. You know, and that's the way he plays.
TJ Sanders being asked to do so many different things, particularly as a rookie, how have you seen him handle that?
I've seen him handle it pretty well. You know, and, you know, we're going to continue to find that sweet spot for him as far as in the way we want to use him, and, you know, we'll be continuing to go that way. But it's been good, the way he's handled it.
Would you eventually like to get him back to his home position?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's just a lot of moving parts right now, you know, the way it goes and availability, and he hasn't batted an eye. And, yeah, I mean, we drafted him for a reason, but, you know, right now where we currently sit with availability, we've got to do what we've got to do, and he understands that and been a team player with it. Awesome. You got it.